The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
Colt Gray did not kill anyone, yet he is on trial for murder connected to a school shooting. Colin is a single dad of 3 children. One of them is Colt Gray, a teenager who authorities say shot up his school, killing 4 and wounding 7 others. Now his father, Colin, has been accused of purchasing the murder weapon for his son after being told about his son's prior threats. Tonight, the latest from inside the courtroom in this emotional and controversial trial. But first, another day and more new developments in the search for Nancy Guthrie in Tucson. It is the biggest true crime mystery in the nation, and everyone is wondering, who is the man behind the mask? Was he working alone? And is he connected to the ransom notes? Why did he take Nancy Guthrie from her home? The investigation has clearly picked up in intensity as the pressure mounts on law enforcement to solve the case, find a suspect, and bring home Nancy. Tonight, we take a look at all the new developments, including DNA results from a glove found 2 miles from the crime scene as the search for Nancy Guthrie continues. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you aboard. 17 days now we're talking about. 17 days, and Nancy is still missing. Where is she? Is she alive? Is she being treated well? Why? Do we have an answer? We don't have an answer to that yet. Like, what was this really all about, the ransom? It's not clear. Nothing is clear in this case. But the search continues. What is clear is that the family is still suffering. Savannah, Annie, Cameron. This is not easy. This is brutal. This is absolutely brutal. You know, there are different ways that people can potentially lose their parents to illness, a long, drawn-out illness, a sudden illness. This is bad. This is not easy, and it's all playing out very publicly. But the public is needed because they need help to find Nancy. So there was a glove that was found about 2 miles from Nancy's home, and that glove had DNA that was recovered on it. The question is the glove that was found the glove that is worn by the man behind the mask? They've got DNA, which is a lead, but it may not be a lead. And the reason I say that is if the glove is connected to the man behind the mask, then this glove and the DNA in the glove, this could be huge to connect the dots on that. But if it's just a random glove that kind of looks like that, even if you track down whose glove it is, it may perhaps be completely meaningless. So that's why this particular DNA is a little tricky. Like, you find DNA on a murder weapon, on a knife sheath. Okay, whose is it? We got him. But here, the glove, not found at the scene, but extremely similar to the one that was worn by the man behind the mask. And conceivably could have been thrown out of the window on his way out of Dodge. Or it just could be some random glove in Tucson, Arizona. So the DNA analysis results are in. And this is important, right? You find the glove, you examine the glove, then you send the glove for analysis. They say there's unknown male DNA on it. Then you've got to take the DNA and you've got to send it to be compared to known samples of known individuals. Take a listen to the sheriff.
We got the DNA back, And my understanding is this morning it was submitted for CODIS. I've not heard anything further.
And now we have. Take a look up on the screen. This is the results. According to the Sheriff's Department, DNA evidence from gloves found approximately 2 miles from the house was submitted to a lab in Florida and to CODIS this morning. There were no DNA hits in CODIS. At this point, there has been no confirmed CODIS matches in this investigation. So what does that mean? Whoever's DNA is on the glove has not committed a felony that required him or her to deposit their DNA and have their DNA on file with CODIS. It was a hope that you would have a hit lead to not an arrest, but a continuing investigation, perhaps going to a judge to get a warrant to follow up with that person, find out who they are, where they were, do a little bit of investigating around, bring them in for an interview, and see if, in fact, they may be connected. But as of right now, they don't know who he is. Libby Dean from News Nation on X posted this. Very interesting. New. Following no CODIS hit on the DNA from the gloves in the Nancy Guthrie case, an FBI official tells me the sample will undergo genealogical testing. Does it sound familiar? Does it sound familiar? It's exactly what they did in the case involving those 4 students from Idaho who were brutally murdered, and there was DNA on a knife sheath. They weren't telling us what they were doing all along, because that investigation wasn't playing out the way this one is. This one, they need a lot more help from the public, but they're doing the same thing. Unbelievable development. Let's bring in our think tank right away. Joining me, criminal defense attorney, former head New Jersey County prosecutor Bob Bianchi is with us. Also joining us, former sex crimes prosecutor Stacey Honowitz, and finally, national parenting and family relationship expert Dr. Sue Kornbluth. Bob, I guess the hope was there that you would have a hit, and then it'd be someone who's got some sort of a record, someone who's had some sort of criminal life in their past, and okay, maybe you're onto something here, because we know the people most likely to commit a crime are people who've already committed crimes, right, and have been caught. But that's not the case here in this DNA from the glove that was found. What are your thoughts right now in terms of optimism of the glove found 2 miles from Nancy's house with unknown male, I believe it's unknown male DNA on it, now going in for, genetic genealogy tracing?
Well, again, I hate to be the downer on this, but as substantial time has gone by, maybe this glove shows something through the genealogical chain. Other cases have been solved this way, maybe to help us identify somebody. What concerns me more, Vinnie, and the only thing that I can say from an investigative standpoint, from what I know in my career, is that they've got tens of thousands of tips coming in. I've said this so many times before. We got an information management problem. We have a problem. For the life of me, Vinnie, I don't understand that. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be, Debbie Downer here with this, but you released the crime scene. You should never have done that. We discussed this previously. Then they have to go back into the crime scene. What are you doing talking about the investigative techniques and tools like CODIS? Why are you getting this information out to the public on what's not working? This is not advancing the ball forward. You're not creating unforced errors with the bad guy. Right now, you've got a desperate situation. If this woman is alive, you need to keep this investigative information as tight as possible. Nothing positive is happening, in my mind, by releasing information saying we just don't know what we're doing. And the last point is, the FBI versus the local officials here. Are they playing well in the sandbox? Coordination amongst these law enforcement agencies is going to be critical and crucial to make sure one hand knows what the other hand is doing, and they're connecting the dots. So many times I've seen investigative information get missed because they didn't have a good information management chain. So there's so much going on here, Vinnie. It's very peculiar. And what's the motive? Do we have a ransom? Is it about money? I don't know. This has got to be the craziest ransom case I've ever seen in my life. Nobody knows where to give the money to. I'm beginning to think, I've kind of felt this from the beginning. Could this just be some sort of maniac? Could this be some sort of revenge plot? Could there be something else that's at play? As a citizen, if you're going to release information to me, that is what I want to know so that I know what I'm looking for with my colleagues or my community or people that are out there. What kind of individual are we looking at here? Right now, as I sit here, last point, Vinnie, I don't know whether or not this is really about money or people taking advantage of a situation looking to make money off of this. I think we're in a really bad spot here.
Stacey?
Yeah, you know, normally I don't agree with Bob on a lot of things, but everything that he said I think is spot on. Everybody is kind of just sitting here waiting every single day, every single minute for an update. And I understand what Bob is saying with regard to why are you letting all of this out, but the public, there's a public interest. And like you said at the beginning of the show, Vinnie, you know, they want the public involved because they don't have leads. They're, I think, almost relying on people to kind of set them in that direction. And when you have all of these leads and maybe you don't have the manpower to investigate all of them, there's a real problem. And is there a problem between the local sheriff and the FBI? Now, we know we were waiting today for that one little tip, that one, we've got a profile, we've got DNA, we put it in CODIS. For people that don't know what CODIS is, that's the central index of all the DNA of somebody that's been convicted, like you said, or arrested of a felony. And unfortunately, that one thing that everyone was hanging their hat on didn't come to fruition. And so they're trying to tell the public, listen, we have other avenues. I don't think they want the public to think that this is a standstill now just because you don't have this DNA. Other questions that I wanted to know was there DNA? Was there anything? Was the letter from Harvey tested? Was the envelope tested? Were the bed sheets tested if she took her out of bed? I mean, they're all things that we don't know about. And quite frankly, in a nutshell, nobody really knows what's going on at this point.
Yeah. Dr. Sue Kornbluth, are you, that's a great point. Like, nobody really knows. Like, everyone is following every moment of this, every development of this, yet here we are 17 days in, and we really don't know.
I agree with Bob when he said that there's too much public information being given out. And when that happens, Vinnie, so many crazy people come out making calls about things that aren't true because this is so publicized. And at the end of the day, you're absolutely correct. We don't know why this has happened. It is very strange. It's probably one of the oddest kidnapping cases that we have ever seen. And what is the motive here? You know, I keep going back and forth on this every single day. Is it to get money? Is it to scare the family? What is going on here? But every single day that goes by, the family members here are in pain, and they're beginning to probably think that she's not alive anymore. And to be perfectly honest, every day that goes by, I have the same feelings as many other people do. I just do not understand what the motive could be to kidnap an 84-year-old woman that has a heart problem.
Vinnie, can I add one thing here? I think it's really important. It's this. She has a pacemaker. You may have read that law enforcement advised the public that they're trying to track the signal with signal sniffers, they call it, because it may be radiating out of her pacemaker. Why, in God's name, would you release that information publicly? This is what's concerning me about the amateur hour niche. You could put the person at risk if the bad guy or bad woman recognizes, oh, we now know a source and method is her pacemaker itself, and we have the body here. We got to end that. When I hate to say this, but when you look at something like that, what are you thinking by releasing sources and methods like that in an investigation? It's lunacy.
Now, but wait, there's more. From the Pima County Sheriff's Department, DNA, this process takes time, as mentioned above. The gloves submitted to CODIS produced no hits. There is additional DNA evidence that was found at the residence, and that is also being analyzed. So, Stacy, to me, DNA found at the residence may be more important in the end than the DNA on the glove that may or may not be connected to the man behind the mask. But either way, we're still waiting for some word, some connection, some arrest.
Yeah, I don't think one is more important than the other. They're all important. But I think going back to what Bob said, you've almost got like a contaminated, I hate to say it, but the crime scene, the way that it was taken care of, they left it, people were in and out, and hopefully there is DNA to be analyzed. That's what I was saying. We didn't hear this in the beginning. We heard that there was some DNA in there, but we never heard that it was being analyzed. That's the one thing that they kind of kept secret. So hopefully, like I said, she allegedly was taken out of bed. Maybe there was something on the bed sheet, on the comforter, something that can make a connection here. But again, this is, 17 days out. This was a crime scene from the very beginning. They knew it was a crime scene. And the delay is what is frustrating to everybody, the press, the public, the family, most importantly. And so hopefully there is something to draw from this. But again, we are speculating, and we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, I looked at the man behind the mask on the stoop there, Dr. Sue, and I was not necessarily overwhelmed or impressed by, everything that's going on here. Now, I don't know at what point of what was happening inside the house this is, if this is the initial approach or if there's someone else already in the house and he's just trying to get rid of the camera in the front. I don't know exactly where it fits in all of it. But the bottom line, whoever was going there was not prepared to deal with that camera. So like the mindset of the person here doesn't seem to be like the greatest criminal in the world, yet 17 days later, unscathed.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable. It's like when I was watching the video, I don't know if anybody else felt this way. It was like he didn't really know what he was actually doing. He doesn't look like as aggressive as you would think somebody is. Now, did he smash the camera? What was he doing during this time? I don't know what was going on. If this guy was casing out the house, perhaps he cased it out before and knew where the camera.
All right, Dr. Sue is frozen. We are going to defrost her, and we will return. When we come back, we're going to follow up on what Bob was talking about, the pacemaker, some really interesting investigative techniques that have been uncovered through the coverage of this story, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, we continue our in-depth coverage into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Are investigators showing photos of 40 men to local gun shop owners? Tonight, we investigate.
The Court TV podcast will return.
This is a timeline that we have been able to develop with some of the things that we've had processed. Various pieces of electronics that we've gathered. Sunday morning, early morning at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects. At 2:12 a.m., software detects a person on a camera. 2:28, Nancy's Pacemaker app shows that it was a disconnect from the phone.
Okay, so 2:28 was a big time. Initially we're like, disconnected from the app? What exactly did the person do? Well, they didn't do anything. All they did was separate Nancy from her device or her phone. Like this phone here, also the one I have, uses similar technology, for my glucometer, which measures my blood sugar every 10 minutes. So it'll send a signal to my phone. But if I'm far enough away from this, it will not get it. But then when it comes back in range, all the information that it didn't receive will then be downloaded or sent to the phone. Same thing, my understanding, happens with the pacemaker. I want you to take a look at this from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker. Investigators are attempting to locate the device and are working with the manufacturer and other experts in the field to assist in that effort. So that's significant, right? And we are now getting an idea of how investigators are attempting to locate Nancy's pacemaker. Take a look at this video from Fox News. Helicopters flying very close to the ground. And according to David Kennedy, the inventor of the pacemaker signal detector, pacemakers give off, like I said, that low energy Bluetooth signal. And that signal typically communicates with a mobile device to send out the diagnostics. But it can also be detected by what's being called a signal sniffer at certain distances. David Kennedy explained exactly how this technology is being used by investigators on CNN's Erin Burnett Out Front.
And so what they're doing here is that they're flying really low to the ground because the distance you have to be able to intercept that transmission, that signal, that packet, is very low. So they're sweeping the areas looking for this transmission. And I was able to confirm that, based on the pacemaker that she has, it will broadcast every about 3 to 4 minutes or so with a very small transmission that if authorities are able to capture that, can triangulate exactly where Nancy is directly off of her pacemaker.
There it all is, Bob. All laid out exactly how it's being done.
First of all, I didn't even know me and Nancy really argued that much. I didn't forget that from the last segment. But gosh, Vinny, I mean, really, we literally, as prosecutors, make motions to court to prevent them from knowing sources and methods. So information like this is not displayed to the public in order not to compromise future investigations. My last murder case as a prosecutor, we used a very sophisticated electronic method, very similar to this, that to this day the public does not know about, so that it can continue to be used. Now, let's look at this case. If you're the bad guy and you got the body, and let's hope it's the person is alive, that Ms. Guthrie is alive, and you find this out, or if the body is somewhere in a proximity close to you, and you now learn this information, which I didn't know until I heard it from law enforcement, what am I going to do? I'm getting rid of it because my identification is literally in the heart or on or inside the body of the person. For the life of me, I do not understand how this is relevant to the public who has no access to this data, no ability to be able to manipulate this data. All you're doing is giving information to the bad guy. Once again, it spells to me amateur hour. I don't understand what this guy is doing. Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the other part of it, though, is it's now like day 17, and I know they've been doing this for a few days, but maybe could have done it a little bit earlier.
I think the whole idea that the public is thinking now, if you have all of this technology, you're dealing with the FBI, you're dealing with the local sheriff, and Bob's right. So many times you hear us use these terms, we're keeping it close to the vest. They're keeping it close to the vest because they don't want the public to know in certain investigations. But what were you doing for 17 days? I mean, if you have access to this in 2026, why did you wait 17 days? Why was this not on the checklist? Oh, she has a pacemaker. Maybe we need to do this. Oh, why are we closing the crime scene? There could be DNA. I mean, this is what I think is so frustrating to the public right now. It's true. Not all of this should be decimated to the public. It shouldn't be. But I think what everyone is feeling is why the delay? That's what everybody wants to know. Why the delay in getting all of these things done?
I want to play something else from the sheriff, Dr. Sue. I want to put this out there as well. Okay. And this is about what theory they're operating under right now. Let's take a listen.
One of the other rumors that's been, going wild, and at least one report of it is this has become a burglary gone wrong investigation. I know you have not mentioned that. You haven't talked about forced entry here. Do you have a theory on how this perp got in the house? Did Nancy open the door for a man in a mask with a gun?
First of all, the sheriff's theories don't really matter. It's those who are investigating this case, their theories, their thoughts, and they share that and work that together as a team. And all of those possibilities are something we all look at and consider. But it'd be very irresponsible of me to give out certain key pieces of this case so that the public can know.
See, he's keeping it close to the vest.
He's already done it.
Oh my.
He's already done it. He has already given out pieces that should not have been given out to the public already.
All right, well, let's...
The family should be saying to this sheriff, shut up. Honestly, they need legal whatever counsel, Ms. Guthrie, the family, to somebody who knows what they're doing with investigations, to work for the family, to respectfully tell them, please shut up. If there's information that you think is that the public can help, then release it. Look at you in your maroon shirt, and you're sitting down with the flag next to you, doing an interviewee once again, another little interview, and giving out information you shouldn't. That was a very relevant question, by the way, that reporter asked. That's information that would be helpful, and you don't want to give it out. Stop with this. Your 20 minutes of fame, 15 minutes, end it. You're hurting the investigation, you're hurting the family, and you're creating more confusion, more weird tips and leads coming in. You're not helping. You're not moving the ball forward. Come on, stop the play acting.
I think this is way over his head.
Yeah. Any chance this was a burglary that went south? Like someone unlawfully entered the home to either steal something, to scare her, to threaten her, to commit some sort of a crime inside, and then because she's 84, something went terribly wrong. You think that's possible in all of this, Stacey, that this wasn't an intended abduction but resulted in one because of whatever transpired inside the home?
I'm going to go out and tell you that I would never make that kind of prediction. I don't know what happened in this case. Is anything and everything a possibility? Absolutely, because right now we know nothing. And we are all speculating. Everybody's speculating. Everybody's got a theory. Everybody's on social media. And it just doesn't help. It just confuses. So the fact of the matter is anything could have happened in this case, any possibility, and I don't think we should be giving it a bottom line.
I think they should have kept this as quiet as it could have been until they had something tangible that they actually could have released to the public. Because by releasing all of this information every single day, it does lead to immense speculation. I agree with Stacey here, and that everybody and their uncle has an idea of why this happened. And anything is a possibility here. However, it also goes back to why did this happen to an 84-year-old? Was it somebody that the family knew? Was it somebody at the church? Was it somebody that knew her?
Bob, will you concede that the release of the video was important for the public to
absolutely.
To see that?
Absolutely, the most important piece of information. Take out everything else that this guy has said in all these interviews. Somebody's going to see that video and will notice, like we do our spouses when you may not see them and their back is turned and they may have a job. We know who it is. Somebody knows who this is. So it's an incredibly important and crucial piece of evidence that should have been released. Somebody out there knows, and that is important, yes. And by the way, Vinnie, last point. I wouldn't say also that this isn't a revenge. Something smells angerish here, revengey, something for hire. I don't know.
Stacey, you were going to say something.
What?
Or maybe Dr. Sue. I heard a voice.
Yeah, Dr. Sue was going to say something.
Stacey, was it you?
All right.
No, it was you. I mean, I said it all. Anything, listen, like I said, we are sitting around night after night, all day, waiting for that one little inkling so we can hang our hats on it. And right now, that's the worst place to be. But, you know, this the media is constantly asking for things, asking the sheriff what's going on, tell us what's happening, so then you have to look at, if he doesn't say anything, then the media says, well, why isn't he telling us anything?
That's right.
I
but you
think
gotta be
any way
stronger.
you look at it, we've got a problem.
All right, let's do this. We're gonna take a break. We will be covering this in hour 2, and we'll be covering it tomorrow night. But coming up, we're going to talk about a father-son relationship that has resulted in both of them in court charged in a school shooting. But only one of them actually shot anyone. That was the son. But the father is on trial first. That's next.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
In that 14-year-old boy's bedroom, on the wall, they find this shrine, for a better word. Those pictures are all of the same person, Nicholas Cruz. Nicholas Cruz was the person that in 2018 went into Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, with an AR-style rifle. And there he killed 17 students and faculty and wounded another 17 more. Investigators look at this and they begin to wonder, who is this kid?
Right, who is this kid? We're talking about Colt Gray, Georgia teenager, accused in a school shooting. 11 victims, 4 died, 7 wounded. And in his room was this shrine to the Parkland school shooter. But there's more. 16 months before this shooting, police visited him and his father to investigate alleged threats of a school shooting that was found on the Discord app. Investigators, he basically denied making that threat. Investigators left, but nothing really came of this. And Dad looks pretty relaxed, by the way. But then 16 months later, the shooting takes place. Well, right now, the dad is on trial, facing a bunch of charges, including second-degree murder charges. Let's take a listen to what happened in court today.
When the first bang went off, I remember my teacher falling to the floor, and then Taylor in front of me. I remember seeing her fall down before I turned around and saw there was somebody at the door with a weapon, and then everybody else fell down to the floor and kind of ran closer to Miss Ryan and gathered against the wall. I remember Melody, she had blood all on her arm. I remember her blood was getting on the side of me because I was kind of laying on the side of her.
And take your time, Monica.
I remember my teacher telling me to stay awake because I was really, really tired and I couldn't keep my body up. I remember Natalie laying on the floor saying that she was hit and crying with a big puddle of blood. And I remember just really I felt a really hot spot at the bottom of my leg, and then I reached down and noticed that I got hit, and then my friend Brittany took off her jacket and wrapped it around my leg, and then I passed out after that.
After I got shot, I turned to my friend Landon and I asked him to hold my hand because I was scared.
And did he hold your hand?
Yeah.
Do you remember where you went after they took you out of the classroom?
They put me in a helicopter and I flew to Grady.
Where were you shot?
In my leg.
So you went to Grady Hospital in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Do you remember how long you had to stay at Grady Hospital?
A couple weeks to a month.
And while you were there, did you have to have surgery?
Yes.
Was it more than one surgery?
Yes.
What did they do to treat you there at the school?
They put a tourniquet on me. I know they gave me pain medicine. They talked to me. The paramedic that was with me, they talked to me, and they was letting it help me. It helped distract me.
As you were leaving the school, did you see anything?
I saw Colt Gray. He was on the floor with his hands behind his back.
Had you ever seen him before?
No.
Okay. Did you know who he was?
No.
Okay.
I remember thinking.
What did you think when you saw him?
I saw red. I was very mad. I hadn't even processed it as a kid. When I thought about who would do this, I was thinking maybe an angry parent, some kind of alumni that had a bad experience at the high school, terrorist attacks, anything. I did not think another student.
Did you say anything to him when you passed him?
Yes.
What did you say to him?
You I swear, I'm pretty sure I said, I swear I'm gonna kill you. I said a lot of curse words, and I was very angry, especially at the time, because I thought that they were going to have to amputate my hand. Okay. Yeah.
So they take you outside.
And I remember yelling at him that we were kids, because we were kids.
Okay, so what we're seeing now in school shooting cases, obviously you go after the shooter. We've seen them go after police who have responded or not necessarily responded to these shootings, but also parents. With the police, I haven't seen convictions. With the parents, I have. We saw it with the Oxford school shooter in Michigan. Jennifer and James Crumbly both convicted for what their son did. What are your thoughts on this trend and this case? Dr. Sue Kornbluth, your thoughts?
I think you're going to see exactly what happened in the Crumbly case. This reminds me so much of it. When you, as a parent, know that your child is struggling with emotional difficulties, you do not put guns in their hand. I cannot say this enough. You do not put guns in your children's hands when you know that they were having emotional issues. And I believe that it was reported that he knew that his son was having emotional struggles. The other thing is, Vinnie, how did he not know that inside of his son's room were pictures of what we are seeing right now on the screen? Yeah. That is even more concerning, and it shows me that this is a parent that was uninvolved in his child's life, and here's the result of it again and again and again, and it has to be stopped. And just like the Crumblies, I believe he's going to get time in jail as well.
Bob, what are your thoughts of, this is aggressive prosecution, right? This is going one step further. You're not just charging him with providing a weapon, you're charging him for murder, the father. You're charging him for murder in this case.
So, Vinnie, I can just tell you, when I prosecuted up until 13 years ago, we were, as a country, as a state, certainly here in New Jersey, did not want to be prosecuting people for the actions of other individuals. There's a tension in the law, because the law requires that the person is acting typically purposefully or knowingly or at least recklessly conscious disregard. That changed with the Crumbly case. And I was concerned that we were going to start holding parents responsible, and I still am concerned, for actions that they were unanticipated that led to tragic consequences. That is not this case. This, even more than the Crumbly case to me, is a case where the prosecutors need to send out a strong message of deterrence to let parents know that when you buy these weapons of mass destruction, you can be First and Second Amendment, it doesn't make a difference to me, and you put them into the hands of a juvenile who does not have the maturity at that point in time to be making correct decisions, and a juvenile with what we are hearing is a mental health history or problem, who's idolizing a mass shooter, where the police were there within the last year, indicating that there was an issue with regard to a call regarding the son, which was extremely disturbing. And I believe the father said, if I find out that this is true, he's in for, such and such. Well, he did nothing except buy him a weapon and all these individuals are dead because of it. So I find this to be a righteous prosecution to send a message to parents. You need to do better before you put a weapon in the hands of somebody who is not mentally stable to handle it.
And, you know, looking at the situation here and what the defense is saying, single dad, 3 kids, a lot of moving parts, and he's working hard. He's working long shifts. He's not, you know, he's not some remote worker, you know, behind his laptop. He's like doing like physical type of work, long hours to try to support the family. The wife, you know, there's been some question about her behavior in this as well. But is that at all some level of mitigation here, Dr. Sue, for a man trying to raise 3 kids and working as hard as he can to make enough money to keep everything afloat?
I don't think so, Vinny. I think there's a lot of people out there that are working 3, 4, 5 jobs to keep their family together, and they're not putting guns in the hands of their children. You know, and whatever has gone on in that family, then it is those parents' responsibility to come together to support their child who is obviously struggling. So to me, that's an excuse. And the facts are the facts that the son had problems. The father admitted that he knew about it and then placed the gun in the son's hand. There's no way around this one.
That's a major problem. All right, Bob Bianchi, great to have you here. Dr. Sue Kornbluth, Stacey Honowitz, I know I had to jump a little early. Thank her as well. When we come back, something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, as the search for Nancy Guthrie and her abductors continues, we take a look at the DNA. Is genetic genealogy the key to cracking this case? Tonight, we investigate.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. Inside baby Emmanuel's home. This, according to the New York Post, the house where little Emmanuel Harrow was murdered is undergoing a major renovation as the family tries to make the community move on. Jake Harrow's stepdad and former landlord revealed that he's putting up a tall fence around the property in the desert village of Cabazon to keep the world out. People have noticed this as well on the Post. The names of the Harrow family members engraved in some cement that was just placed down there. And we also have a look inside the kitchen, dining area of the house, the living area of the house. And we've also got an update. Jake Harrow, you know, pleaded guilty to murdering baby Emmanuel, was sentenced to 25 years to life. Meanwhile, his wife, baby Emmanuel's mom, Rebecca Harrow, still awaiting trial. She's got a court date coming up in March. We'll see what happens there. And by the way, baby Emmanuel still has never been found. Please take a look at your screens. We have another child who needs your help tonight. This is Dana Darshell Williams, just 15 years old, missing out of San Diego, California. If you see Dana, please pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference. 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the San Diego Police Department out in California. We've got that phone number for you right up on the screen right now. Please, let's get Dana to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids. There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.